So let's talk about this whole Coyote versus Acme situation. Now, somebody did ask me online to give my thoughts on it. And honestly, if I'm going to be straight with you, shoot straight, if you will, I think what's happening with Coyote versus Acme, possibly what's going to happen, it's a huge slap in the face of everybody that worked on that movie, from those that starred in it, in the live action sequences, those that voiced the characters, those that worked behind the scenes, animating the animated scenes, and doing the CGI and 2D animation and flash animation. It's a slap in the face to those that went to these different locales and filmed for the movie, and so on. It's a slap in the face of basically the entire, crew, the entire cast and crew that put the heart and soul into this. It's a slap in the face of them because they have to get up every morning, probably earlier than even my mom does, to go to work and work on this project, work on this movie. To try to bring it to life. It's a slap in the face that those that have to get up earlier than my mom, earlier than I do at times if I'm working, to get themselves ready, get out the door, and go to the animation studio that Warner Brothers is using, or they're outsourcing or whatever, to animate the scenes to help bring this to life. It's a slap in the face of those that spent a whole year or two working on the script, first drafting it, or rough drafting it, first drafting it, final drafting it, and so on. It's a slap in the face of them. And if it's David Zaslav who told him one thing, like, yeah, you'll get to release this, and now he's going back on his word, it's a huge hypocritical backstabbing slap in their face. Because you basically is telling them, oh yeah, by the way, I lied. It is not a good look for you as the owner or the CEO of the company. It's not a good look for you. It's not a good look for your board. It's not a good look for anybody that, when you do something like this. And it causes trust issues. It causes trust issues in Hollywood. It does. Now, some can, some can blame the strikes, the writer's strike and the SAG-AFTRA strike last year for basically causing this to happen. And true, that's part of what, and true, that does take blame. There's no doubt. But Warner Brothers, is one of those kind of studios, no matter who owns them, that always finds a way to basically bounce back financially, even after strikes like the SAG-AFTRA or like the SAG-AFTRA after strike, and the writer's strike and everything. They find a way to always bounce back financially. But right now, according to reports, they are financially not doing so well, and neither is Paramount. But guess what? Here's the reality. None of the major studios, and even the smaller studios, the minor studios, are financially doing well because of the strikes. That's the issue right there that nobody's realizing, that it's not just Warner Brothers, it's also Paramount and everybody else. Sony, Disney, Universal, they're all suffering financially. I mean, yeah, Sony, Columbia Pictures, if you will, and Disney and Universal, they're not going to come straight out and say, yeah, financially we're not doing so well. Or they're not going to leak out information or have people with, on the inside leak out information saying, yeah, financially we're not doing so well. No. Because if they do, it makes them look weak. It makes them basically be on the same level as where Warner Brothers and Paramount is right now. And they don't want that. They want to basically keep that image of being the be-all, end-all of where movies and shows come to be successes. And where people like actors and actresses and writers and animators and all that want to come to work. So they don't want to make themselves look bad by coming out and admitting that they're in the same boat, if not a similar boat financially, as WBD and Paramount. They don't want to do that. So basically they're not going out of the way and saying, oh, well, we're going to do a tax write-off on this movie and that show and da-da-da, or we're going to shelve this movie and this show, we're going to vault it indefinitely, da-da-da. They're not going to do that because that'll basically expose the fact that, oh, you guys too are going through a financial situation. They're not going to do that. But yet here you have Warner Brothers and David Zaslav doing exactly that. And it's basically exposing the fact, if not, pretty much confirming the fact, that they are financially not so well off. But here's the question then that I have. If you know financially you're not going to be able to bounce back from the strikes, if that is a major, reason, which it is, let's be honest, part of that, that is a major part of what's going on, then why even go forward with it? Why even say, hey, that movie's going to come out this year, or, this movie's going to come out this year, or this show's going to come out this year? No! What you do is you come out and you say, hey, what we had planned for 2024, we're going to have to hold off for about a year because we need this year to financially bounce back. We need this year to financially bounce back. And once you say that, once you let that be known, then you should be good to go. You should be good to go. I mean, why do you think we're seeing movies like Twisters, and I think even Dune Part 2, being co-distributed by both Universal and Warner Brothers, or Warner Brothers and somebody else? Because Warner Brothers financially can't do it on their own right now, because they didn't find a way to bounce back financially after the strikes. The credit you have to give Disney and Sony and Universal is, even though they're probably in the same financial boat as WBD and Paramount, is the fact that they are basically bouncing back, financially. Maybe not so publicly or visually, but, they're doing it. And you could see the little hints here and there, despite what others might say. You could see it. The point I'm getting at is, instead of trying to write something off that's pretty much done and ready to go and in the can, writing it off and vaulting it forever so nobody could see it, instead of having to do that and now facing the backlash of doing something that fans have been wanting to see since it was announced, instead what you do is say, hey, we're going to push back the release to 2025, maybe 2026, so that we can give ourselves time to financially bounce back. That's what you need to do. I mean, look at Paramount. Paramount had plans to basically release Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2, or whatever it's going to be called. Whatever it's going to be called now. They had, plans to release that this year. And the strikes basically caused them to push back on it. Now, could they have still released it this year? Absolutely. But you know what they did? They said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to hold off until 2025 at least. Because why? Well, one, it gives them an opportunity to, look the movie over again to see if anything needs to be reshot or edited out or computerized or computer generated in and, whatnot. But also it gives them time to financially bounce back, financially build themselves back up, so that way they don't have to look at the possibility of merging with another company or partnering with another company financially to survive. That's why they're doing it. And Warner Brothers should have done the same thing. They should have done the same thing with a lot of their projects. That way they wouldn't have to worry about co-distribution, with, other studios for movies. They wouldn't have to worry about that. But this is on them. This is on David Zaslav. He is basically, he's basically steering the WBD ship right into the freaking iceberg, is what he's doing. And the casualties, that are coming off of that crash are a lot of the finished products that everybody that's worked on them felt would have an opportunity to see the light of day, and now they're not. And this is why you have everybody, not just fans, but those in Hollywood saying, hey, David, release this movie. This might save you. This might help you, financially bounce back. But is he listening? We don't know. We'll find out soon, apparently. But it's just one of those situations to where if you don't know financially how to run a movie studio, and your only experiences, running a corporation is the Discovery Corporation, which is more about nature, reality and all that, then maybe you need to hand off the reins to somebody that has Hollywood movie experience, is what you need to do. Because if he goes and does what potentially it looks like is going to happen and write this movie off, a movie, like I said, that people have been wanting to see since it was announced, especially with the synopsis and everything of Wile E. Coyote basically taking Acme to court because of all the faulty, items they sold to him when he tried to capture the Roadrunner, and they always backfired. That's a great premise. That's a great premise. So why shelve it if it's already set to go? I mean, you're basically giving the green light, as far as we know, to Looney Tunes, The Day the Earth Blew Up, starring, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, and Petunia Pig. You're giving that the green light. So why not this? What's going on? You think, The Day the Earth Blew Up is not a financial, is basically, what's the difference? What's the difference? You think The Day the Earth Blew Up financially was, is not going to hurt you? All the money you spent on the animation for it, you think it's not going to hurt you? That instead a hybrid of live action and animation like Coyote versus Acme is worse for you? It's like, where's your mindset? Where's your mindset? I'm just curious. But this whole situation has to do with mismanagement, in my opinion, and mismanagement coming from the fact that they did not bounce back, or not bouncing back the way they should because of the strikes. And yes, again, the strikes do have, faults in what's going on, but studios like WB have proven in the past that they can financially bounce back from these situations, not suffer. And why do you think, again, we don't hear much about, Universal Studios and Columbia Pictures, Sony, and, Disney to an extent, and even Lionsgate and Netflix. Why do you think we're not hearing about them, struggling financially, in the public eye? Why do you think we're not hearing that? Because they are struggling financially to bounce back from the strikes, but they're doing it more moderate. They're doing it in a more moderate manner. In other words, they're doing it more in a way that doesn't visually make them look bad. It doesn't hurt the public image, if you will. It doesn't hurt the public image whatsoever. That's what they're doing. So on the in front of us, in our eyes, in our vision, our point of view, everything looks fine. Everything looks hunky-dory. Compared to Warner Brothers and Paramount, who basically we're seeing right now going, boing, boing, straight down. And basically it's because of mismanagement of the finances and not being able to bounce back, in the correct way, or basically, or not just or, and I should say, not or, but and, it's also the fact that they're not, trying to hide what's going on, as well as what Disney, Universal, Lionsgate, Columbia Pictures, Netflix, Amazon Prime, you name it, Apple, what they're doing. Because again, they too are suffering financially, but they're not showing it. What they're showing is the positive, not the negative. Because that negative they're keeping secret because even though they are suffering financially, they realize that if they let that be known, it ruins the public image. They know it, and they don't want that. Warner Brothers and Paramount are allowing it to happen. And David Zaslav, being the head of the WBD, is letting it happen more so than anything. And this is why now you have people calling for him to be removed, be fired, impeached, basically voted off the island, voted to resign, because he doesn't know what he's doing. He acts like he is, but he doesn't. And it's hurting the company. It's hurting the company. But I am going to say this. I'm going to say this right now. If this movie gets vaulted, do not be surprised if somebody finds a way to sneak out a copy digitally and release it online, because they will. They will do that. Because they know that if it gets out to the public somehow, even after it gets rolled off as a tax write-off, and people see the end result, that I guarantee you that happens, it's going to make David Zaslav, it's going to make Warner Brothers look bad. And you know what it'll do? It'll make even those that work under Zaslav right now look at him, and it'll make Hollywood look at him like, who the hell are you? Who the hell are you? What the hell are you doing? Do you have any experience in the movie business? And it's going to pressure him. It's going to pressure him to the point that even the board that works under him are going to be like, David, we have no choice but to vote for your resignation. We need you out. It's going to lead to that. Should someone leak it out? And you can't tell me someone's not thinking that, because they are. If it gets vaulted, if it gets rolled off. So if I'm Zaslav, I reconsider. I pay attention to what people are saying, not just fan-wise, but in Hollywood. And I look at that support, and I basically say, all right, we want to sell this to someone to distribute, but maybe we need to lower our costs, because that's another issue too. They asked for what, 75 million, 80 million or something in distributing cost, for the movie to be distributed by somebody else, and they got turned down. And why? It's not because, the studios, not because the other platforms didn't want it, they did, but it's because of the asking price. And that right there, them turning down something that they could easily pay for to distribute, that right there is just a tiny hint that even they, like I said, Netflix, Disney, Universal, Columbia, and all of them, that are not showing publicly the struggles right now, post, writers and actors strikes. But that right there, them refusing, that's just a teeny weeny hint that they too are struggling financially, but they're not making it so public, in front of the world. So if I'm him, I reconsider this. I listen to what people are saying, in Hollywood as well as the fans. And maybe what I do is I lower the price. I say, okay, how about 30 million? We're selling the rights, distributing rights for 30 million or 25 million. How's that? And maybe he might get an offer. Maybe like, hey, that's good with us. We're cool with that. We'll take it. And I think that might be what he has to do. Because the reason he's asking for so much, the studio's asking for so much, is because of the finances right now. And the reason other studios that you think could afford to take it, the reason they're rejecting is because of their financial situations right now. And again, all because of the post-actors and writers strike. And that's a fact. That is a flat-out fact, whether people want to admit it or not. So again, if I'm David Zaslav, I reconsider. And maybe I lower my offer to a more reasonable price that maybe studios will be more attracted to. But again, if he does not allow this to be released, if he vaults it, writes it off as a tax write-off, even if somebody leaks out the movie, to be seen online somehow, it is going to be a huge backstabbing, hypocritical slap in the face of everybody that worked on it. And it's going to make his image, his public image, look even worse. It's going to make the WBD look even worse. And it's going to call into question his leadership. And it's going to get to a point that if people see the movie, even after it's rolled off, via leak, via somebody basically putting out a copy, I guarantee you it's going to pressure maybe even the board of directors of WBD to vote for his resignation, for him to step down. So if he doesn't want that, he needs to reconsider his decision-making when it comes to the completed projects. That's what he needs to do. But to me, if he goes through with vaulting it, it's a huge backstabbing, hypocritical slap in the face. But give me your thoughts, guys. Live chat down in the, live chat during the premiere. Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this whole situation. How do you feel about it? And until next time, I'll talk to you all later.